So I just got off of a call with my construction company that's building the addition to my building, and it was our kickoff call. That's why I had to move the podcast a little bit late for. So appreciate both of you. Last minute change to the podcast, pushing it back a little bit. But I get on the call. This first call was a little annoying because the project manager is literally taking notes and filling out a form. So how do you spell this person's name? And I'm watching this person fill out a form. However, this call was 8 of my consultants. So, everybody bills by the hour. So I have 8 different companies billing me, and I'm watching my project manager take notes. He's sharing screen and he's taking notes, spelling things and looking like, what was that thing you just said? I'm sorry. And then we're watching, and 3 minutes go in, I'm boiling over because I've had so much coffee. And I finally just snapped. I'm like, I am not paying 8 people to be on a Zoom call to watch you take notes. Who is summarizing this meeting? Who's got a virtual assistant? Who's got AI? What's going on? To which the guy said, our company policy, we do not allow for AI. I was like, okay, so what does that mean? Well, we have a company policy. We cannot allow for it. I'm like, okay, well, then I will take the notes. I will hand write the notes. I kind of like wink, wink, meanwhile I turn on Plod and start taking notes. But literally, I am the owner of this project. I've got 8 people all charging me money. And now I'm doing the job of a virtual assistant. I'm an EA from Philippines now at this point. This is what I have to do.
I would lose my shit too, honestly.
I lost my shit.
Because company policy can't be superlative to technology, where especially where you're being billed by the hour.
To result. So it reminds me, I was listening to the All-in podcast, the second highest rated podcast after the Bulletproof podcast, and they talked about certain municipalities stopping robotic drive, so self-drive like Waymo and Tesla's robotaxi, because they want to preserve the ability for taxi cab drivers to make money. However, if we know that full self-drive is at best 2 or 3 times safer, it's reported to be 9 times safer, and you have a taxi driver and you get in an accident, you can sue your municipality for, if someone dies, it's a wrongful death suit to the municipality. So really what I'm trying to say here is your company,
because of the standard of care kind of thing. Got it.
Because of the standard of, listen, if you have a better way, but your company does not allow for you to use the better way and it costs someone their life, then you're going to be in trouble. So imagine in the future when there are robotic dentists and you say, hey, at Acme Family Dental, we pride ourselves on having hand dentistry. Let's say we're talking 100 years from now, whatever. And then there's a problem, you're going to be sued. Because so you can't stop the progress. You either embrace it and ride the wave, or dig your feet in as some sort of moral high ground and pay the price.
Craig, I got a comment for you because you are in step 1 of this new construction. You're probably in step 1 of what, 1,000?
That's where the compounding of the pain was. I said, guys, I cannot do 200 meetings like this. I cannot, now that I've seen the future, I can't go back to 1998 and do a Zoom call and watch you type. Literally, it was an hour of typing. I'm like, can't we just use your time? We have 8 people on this call.
And I can tell you, as the last project I just built, remember I finished that large construction project around this time last year. And I got to tell you, it was different. It was a little bit different. I think I didn't have, Ian, you said something about like, okay, it's okay, you're used to chewing glass. And I think you get less used to chewing the glass as you progress and get more comfortable. Right. And so I was surprised by my lack of temperament in this last project. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I think you're going to see the same thing. You will have these level 10 meltdowns quite frequently. I'm anticipating because.
Well, once you know better, there's a better way. You can't tolerate the old way. So if Capital One decided all of a sudden, hey, we no longer do remote deposit on your app, I am leaving Capital One immediately. I don't want to drive to the branch. And by the way, not to I'm like FSD obsessed with my Tesla. My wife yesterday took a day trip to the ranch. She's like, oh, you're there for the day? I'm going to come up. So she left at 10 a.m. It's an hour and 40 minutes, got here, had lunch. We went for a walk. We hung out, and she left at 4 and drove home. So she drove like almost 4 hours to spend 4 hours here. And she would have never done that if she didn't have a robotic
That's so
car.
great. What a hack.
And by the way, she got the new update, the 14.3.3, which you'll probably get soon, Pete, when you get your car. And she literally was working the whole way home. So it's like, I guess it must be 20 or 30% less
Intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's working now.
So let me ask you, so there is a good, Ian, I know you're going to moderate this and you're going to ask some questions based on some data you had, but this is a good segue into the AI. And we're not going to talk about cars, but I am going to talk about those of you who are running projects, whatever project that, and Craig, this actually goes to you. So what I would recommend you do with the upcoming construction project, because you are going to get invoiced and communications are going to run rampant, right? And you don't have the bandwidth. Maybe your assistant can do it, but here's what I would recommend you do is you set up a project in Claude that's specific. And I would actually do a co-work project. And I would have Manus write the instructions for your project. I am the owner. I have done this, and just give it as much context as possible, okay? Every call that you do, even though it's not their policy, I want you to record a granola call or something where there's transcription that you can load. Additionally, every invoice, every communication, and then connect it to your Gmail, right? And so now you can have a project database with specific work around this project. And so it'll help with your invoicing, it'll help with your communication, it'll help with your output of this project. And you can actually even say, you can put it on a scheduled task, Craig, and say, hey, run a process every Monday morning at X, showing me the outstanding monies, showing me things that were pending that people said they were due and they haven't done yet per my email and the call transcripts, right? You can have it's called a cron job, where you could actually chronologically schedule it to work on this subset of data. That makes sense? Here's the through line for this. And this is not just for Craig's advice. This is for anyone building a building, anyone working on a project, right? Because as our lives get busy, you forget, like I couldn't remember if I had booked a plane ticket for my family, right? And so you lose the bandwidth of your RAM, Craig, as you called it. You forget things. And I have found that one of the greatest hacks of AI is creating these specific workbooks, right? Where it's like, oh, that's on this presentation, or, oh, this is on my building project, or, oh. And had I done that, quite honestly, had AI been as robust as it is today, as when I had started my construction project, I would have probably saved a lot of emotional strain on this, because I would have had someone tracking it constantly. And if you set it up in co-work, Craig, and you do it on a cron job, it'll run the process every morning. You won't have to ask it questions. It will proactively look at things and say, hey, these things are still pending and this person didn't do this. You will be the biggest nightmare / blessing to your contractor, depending on how good they are.
Okay, Pete, all kidding aside, I need help with this.
Hey, I tell you what, I got an idea. Come to the Sunday Bulletproof Summit.
I think I'm speaking that day, so I'm going to miss this lecture. So just go ahead and do it for me, Pete.
I don't think you're speaking, actually.
I am speaking. Ian, am I speaking on that Sunday? Well, Pete teaches you the 5 ways to make your practice turn into an autonomous multi-decamillion-dollar machine. I'm going to teach you how to find happiness by raising cows.
It'll be you and 2 people.
No, there's 3 people, actually. We're sold out. It's a very small... It's me. Shout out to Elon Gamberg and David Amador, who are going to be the 5 steps to owning cows and being happy.
All right.
All right. Let's get this
Ian,
show on the road.
Get this started, Ian.
Yeah, for the rest of you that do want to come and learn a lot more about AI, Pete, I think this is the first time that we've mentioned this on the podcast now, that surprise, surprise, we have added a full event on the Sunday of the Bulletproof Summit, the 9th of August, where we are going to actually help dentists understand how to get started. Because, Pete, this was actually perfect for me, because as you were saying all of that, my mind just went exactly to where Craig was, of like, what is happening? And I think too many people feel about that, and you have too many of the Peters that is sharing this.
Peter's just like, it's so easy. Just take 2 semiconductors, laser weld them 4 microns, dip it in silicon bath, irradiate it, enrich the plutonium, and you go. I mean, it's so stupid. Why do I have to go through this?
What's so funny, you know what's funny is you guys are thinking that, is as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, this is so easy. No one's going to take value in what I'm saying right now. This is so simple. I shouldn't even mention it.
Us. The minute you said 2 microchips, laser weld, I lost you. You said something about a quark and a quantum and the electron valence, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. I'm like, dude, just do this for me. Just do it for me. Quantum mechanics bullshit.
It's funny that you start on this, because the topic that I prepared for you today is exactly down this alley. And one thing in the start of this conversation that both of you touched on, and I think I understood it correctly, is if you do not adopt these things and you do not accept that the people embracing this will be better off, work faster, remember more, be able to achieve more than those who are completely rejecting it. I would say similar to when the internet came around and that type of story of we're not going to do that. Imagine still having dial-up, but the guy down the road has a 200 megabyte fiber line, and what that does for your productivity. So I want to talk to the two of you today about using AI in the practice, and specifically at reception. Because, and I'm going to pull up my research here, I found like 3 information pieces. The one was Becker's Dental Force's 2026 review that said that AI front desk tools are among the fastest growing in practices because of the hygienist and admin shortage. The ADA released that on the admin side, vacancies are nearly as severe as hygienist vacancies. And Pull AI released a report in 2026 that says tech-enabled triage and intake are some of the top investment that dental practices should be making now to stay ahead. So what are your thoughts on AI receptionists?
I have lots to say, so I'm gonna let Craig. I don't think you probably have lots to say.
Yeah, I say good. AI reception, good. No, I I don't know what to say to that when you say something like that. But listen, it's interesting. It's an interesting time, right? Obviously, I don't have the mastery of AI that Peter does, but I live within the confines of AI, and without it, I'd be going back in time. What I find extraordinarily interesting is that AI is just better. It's better at empathy. Even ChatGPT from a year ago, like we've done this in the pod, if I call and say, pretend you're a receptionist at Atlanta Dental Spa and I'm a patient, it has default more empathy. It has more compute. It can look at your x-rays. It'll be able to add more value. You know, I'm the human guy, and you think that I would have the counterpoint to saying that human beings should be the ones doing reception. I disagree. I think, you know, it's interesting because if you've paid attention at the commencement addresses that have been happening around the country, the student bodies are booing. So when you have these commencement speakers, and they're very well established speakers, these are thought leaders. You know, you don't get to do a university commencement address unless you're a badass. And as they say, hey guys, as you go out into the world with AI, the students are booing. They're booing this technology because they know that
it's an existential threat.
It's an existential threat. However, we can't, you know, it's like that quote, don't resent the wind, just change the direction of your sails. You can't resent the force of change. And I think, just to make my comment, to land my comment, I am not worried about the people in my office not having jobs. They will be reallocated to patient-facing opportunities. So when a patient enters your office, you need a human. At least at this point, it would be a lot more value. But to have an in-person assistant or an in-person receptionist, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter.
Let me give you, so Craig, what I meant by like that is I have a lot to say. It wasn't disparaging to say you didn't have a lot to say, but I was going to come at it from a tactical level. That's all. Okay. So Ian, you asked, your question was, what do we think about it? Right?
Yeah, I just want to start by having a broad idea. I have some other questions planned here to get more technical. So let's just start broad base and we can work ourselves down.
Okay, so this is something I feel like Craig and I have vetted along the way, right? I was romantic about it 18 months ago, and I tried, and I think maybe one of my features / bugs is that I try things quickly, and as Craig says, I'm out there in the forefront trying things, and so I've tried this, and then it regressed back, and I was like, it's not ready. It was too clunky. There's something called latency, which I don't know all of you if that's technical or not, but latency is the pause in which you've finished talking and it resumes talking back to you. And so the latency of early models, let's call it 1.0, was dreadful. And it was very obvious that someone was talking to a computer. And what people won't tolerate is that massive latency. And I'm coming to a point of what I like about it. So I too think AI receptionist is good, like Craig, but I slow rolled this out and I beta tested it in one location before doing it at scale. And what I found was surprising. And maybe we'll unpack this as you go into your questions, but there were some surprising things. I do want to point something out, Ian, that even if someone says, I am not doing that. I've heard some of these demos and I am not going to use agentic receptionist. Okay. Guess what? Your receptionist is about to receive a ton of agentic inbound from other people. And let me tell you, and it is just starting to go hot. Manus the other day asked me, I was asking it, hey, find me the haircut place that's got the best reviews. I'm actually searching, and I was like, I don't want to go through the Google reviews. Just find me someone that people like and it's near my house and blah, blah, blah. Okay. It found it. Here's my reviews. And then it asked, would you like me to call and schedule an appointment for you? And I paused and I said, oh shit, here we are. Here was what Google was talking about back in their I/O conference 2 years ago.
And you played that, by the way, like 5 years ago. You played that with the CEO of Google.
Right. Which, yeah, to the point of maybe you're right. I'm way too early with a bunch of shit.
And honestly, it was good, but the latency was bad. So in theory, it was cool. It was an eye-opening moment. It was maybe 5-6 years ago. Who knows? But it was too early.
Peter, you predicted this 5 years ago.
I felt yes. I predicted it based on what I had heard and said yes, this will happen. But it was on a Google's I/O conference. They do an annual thing where they talk about where the puck is going, and I said, yeah, the puck is going here for sure. And Craig's right. It was just way too early. Here's where I'm going with this: is that you can be resistant all you want, Craig. You can be the building construction firm that isn't going to throw an AI, but guess what? The counterparty doesn't have to play like that. You, the counterparty. And so people in the next 6 months, I predict a large LLM or a large frontier model, right? Google, X, Claude, someone is going to have personalized agents for you that will do things like this. And it will start going at scale. And your practice is going to be human receptionists receiving an exponential amount as it rises of computer inbound. Correct.
You'll have to quadruple your labor force.
So if you are not set up to fight fire with fire, let's just say, right? Because receptionists can scale. An AI receptionist, you can scale all the way to the moon. You can take 1 million inbound calls if you want, right? And the reason I feel like this is going to happen is, and I know I'm going outside the box, but we are about to enter the phase for these LLM models, right? And I mean intelligence and I mean voice. They're all the same. It's just you're putting a voice wrapper on it. We are about to get into the recursive phase of the LLMs. And you know what recursive means, right? If you don't know what recursive means, it means that they are going to have model. They are going to have the ability to train themselves and train their feedback. And so recursively is going to accelerate. So they're going to be able to train themselves 24/7, as opposed to an engineer having to go in and giving a data subset. It's now going to be on autopilot. So we will have AGI by this year if we don't already have it already. And it's the time to embrace it, right? You sitting back on your haunches and saying, "Oh, it won't affect me." I go on record as May 26th. This will affect you. And it will, like Craig said, it can be a positive effect or it can be a negative effect. It is your choice at this point.
It will affect you. I listened to a podcast. Peter actually sent it to you over the weekend. Mark Andreessen, who's one of the forefront leaders on this, and he laid out the plan of how this is going to happen. And he touched on how your AI is going to start building AIs to help it to achieve what it does. Like
you're talking about on Rogan, when he was on Rogan?
Correct. And he spoke about and it's just incredible after listening to that talk, how my mind just went from wait. I thought about this so wrong about how, and I didn't even think about what you were just saying, Pete, that the influx, even I'm seeing this coming into the Bulletproof info at box, where I can clearly see this is AI starting to come in and it's becoming more and more frequent. And what if that starts to be intake forms and these kind of things for your practice, and it's happening at a rate, as you said, that a human being can't keep track of all of this? You will need to incorporate it.
Well, you're going to have a lot more tire kicking, right? You're going to have a lot more inbound, hey, find me the prices, because agents can go to work now, and you're going to have a lot more inbound calls. You're going to have a lot more, what's the price of this? Do you accept my insurance? You're going to have a lot more, because there's going to be almost zero friction with, quote unquote, an AI picking up the phone and calling. There's friction now because people are like, I don't want to get on the phone and call. That's too much work. I'll just do it. You're going to have a lot more inbound based on this. And can you prepare? So even if you don't want to look, if you don't want to adopt AI in an offensive way for your business, offensive meaning moving your puck forward, then you better learn to adopt it in a defensive way.
The way those,
I hope that lands what I just said.
It does land. It was a great point, actually. I love the distinction, because it's like good, better, best. You know, obviously, best case scenario, using it for everything, but the good is still to allow it to handle the inbound calls, to be able to have a zero voicemails, so to speak. But one thing I want to just bring up for those that are scared of AI, we sit in a very interesting crossroads.
I'm scared of it, though. Can we just pause there for a second?
Well, I'm just talking about the students that are, booing, or I don't know. I mean, listen, there's a sentiment that is anti-AI because it's a threat, right? But and it may be an existential threat to dentistry once the robots get rolled out. But between now and then, when I talk to my lawyer or I talk to whomever, I find that my AI tools are more robust, because when you're dealing with documentation and legal issues, legal is how many points of reference can you pull in. The biggest hack in legal is looking at a document that references another document, which references another. So, for example, a partnership agreement in your practice. There's a partnership agreement, there's an operating agreement, there's the LLC of the company, and you need to take all those inputs in, and you put that into an AI model. It's super robust, and a mere mortal human being cannot do that. And there's a lot of company policies for legal law offices to not use AI. But for and I think AI might be an existential threat for law at a shorter order of magnitude than for dentistry. But we sit at a very interesting opportunity. We actually still have something that's not yet able to be replaced by AI, but we can use all the tools to our benefit. We are a very labor intensive business. The largest portion of a dental profit and loss expense report is your labor. 25% if you're doing it right.
Craig, what about, I hear what you're saying, and I understand dentists are far off. What about the receptionist that's listening to this right now going, this does scare me? Pete, this does scare me, because it sounds like what your agentic AI is going to do is literally replace every single thing I can do within the next year.
Well, let me speak to that. So let's say to anyone that's saying, I am scared of the future and I am scared of change. Everybody's job has changed massively over the last 5 years. It's those who are successful have not resented the change. They've embraced the change. So if you're a receptionist and you're listening to this, there's an opportunity for you to make a whole lot more money. A dental receptionist makes X dollars. A dental treatment coordinator makes X plus X percent. There's a massive return on up-leveling your skill set. So I don't think I don't think I'm going to lose team members. I think the bright team members that want to change will have a greater economic opportunity for themselves.
Look, the through line in the last chapter of our book, right? We talk about technology, we talk about AI, and if you haven't picked this up, it's a $20 book. Craig and I make no money on writing books, but we do it as a benefit to people, right? So the book is called The Patient Experience on Amazon, but it talks about this exact thing, Craig. And the point of AI isn't, especially in dentistry, I agree with you. We have a very unique moat. We are AI resistant, like a plumber, like a HVAC. The world is bullish on manual labor. That being said, and I have a line in the book that basically says, like, AI, if a computer can do it, let the computer do the work. But there are so many things in our dental practice that we are missing the human touch that only humans can do. Then let humans do human stuff and let computers do computer stuff. Right. And so your receptionist, Craig, is not going to lose their job. But guess what? They're not going to do anymore. They're not going to throw the clipboard at someone who is, while they're on the phone, saying, fill that out. Right. They're going to say, oh, my God, Miss Jones, we've been expecting you. God, how did that crown feel on number 13 that we did last time? Whatever it was. Right. How are you feeling? How's your kids? Right. It's going to be a different level because their bandwidth, like I was talking about your bandwidth earlier being reduced, their bandwidth too will be reduced because their agent will be handling 70% of their job. And now they can take that extra 30% and increase it to the patient experience. Let me give you a tour. Let me actually walk you to the bathroom. Right?
You want an Otis Spunkmeyer cookie? We just baked it.
No, I knew that was coming. But you get where I'm going, right? Is no one should lose their job. And I know people are fearful of, companies like Reach that we use at Bulletproof. We have offshore team members who are helping things in our practices. People are unsure about AI, but it's not to drive our workforce down to zero. It's just to amplify our patient experience.
But I'll tell you what, for those that don't wish to grow, and this has been the same for decades. If you tell me I don't want to grow, I want to do the same thing. I want to be guaranteed that my future is a repetition of the same work I've always done, and I want to get more pay. That's always been false. That's always been a false idea. And now it's just it's speeding up because of technology. But I have people that are coming to tell me, like, I'm really nervous. We're getting all these AI people. I mean, we're getting these remote people, and we're using AI. I'm like, that's what everybody's doing. Like, what do you want to do? Where are you going to go if you just want to, be a greeter at a front desk? What job do you have?
If you're scared, think about this line. The dumbest AI will ever be is today.
Yes.
Okay. Tomorrow it'll be incrementally smarter. So your feeling, AI doesn't care about your feelings, right? Technology doesn't care about your feelings. There's a reason that almost all of the S&P 500 now is being supported by AI companies, right? These all-time highs that we're seeing in the investment is predicated on the silicon, Greg, the compute, the electricity. All of these things the demand is insatiable. And so where is the puck going? Where is the puck going? And I will tell you, the puck is going far, far down the road. Robots, compute, inference, electricity, insatiable amounts. And the world is going to look very different in 5 years than it's going to look today. And there's nothing that you or I can do about it. Nothing. So either jump on or be prepared for the world to move past you.
And to have an abundance mindset, rather, I know from what both of you have shared with me that dentists are typically more risk averse because of not knowing, okay, well, what's going to happen if I do this or I change everything. But I agree with you, Pete, like a mindset of abundance of, what if I don't do this? What am I going to miss out if I don't do this? How can I free up my front desk's time in order to work on the patient experience? Insurance verification, all of those things. And I know that's actually something I wanted to touch on. I know insurance verification is something that is an admin task in an office that's like, how do we solve this? But obviously there's compliance issues and verification things that's going to need a lot of work before we get there. Or do you think we're closer?
One of the highest places of turnover in dental offices are what two positions, Craig?
Front desk and assistant.
Okay. I was going to say front desk administration and insurance verification. So Ian, no one is pounding the doors being like, give me that job of insurance verification. It grinds you down. Okay. So does the front desk. It gets overwhelming. And why is it overwhelming? Is because they are typically the least trained and / most important person in our dental practice in terms of your revenues. Okay.
Of course.
And so there's so much burden put on them, so little lack of training. We hire these people in a fit of, oh my God, we need help. Just answer the phones. And then it's like, wait, you didn't do that right. And then you crush these people constantly. Why? Because you didn't have a proper SOP to train them how to do it. Okay. And so here is where the dilemma is that here's actually going to be a big part of the AI conference on Sunday is that if you lack the ability to train a human, you are cooked when the AI comes around, because you can't just plug and play an agnostic AI and put it in your practice and think it's going to perform well. It will perform shitty in its training, just like the person that you threw in at the receptionist. So an SOP that you use to train the person and have scripting and follows and all the things that happen from that. Here's how an ideal call should go. You have to have that present in order to give it to the LLM or the agent to say, hey, follow these rules. You cannot just use the off-the-shelf training, because every practice is like a snowflake. It's going to have its nuances. I know I just went on a tangent there, but what we think is that AI will be the easy button for our practices, Greg. Oh, just have it answer shit. Just have it do my numbers. Have it do this. But without the proper training, it's going to suck, and it's going to be a horrible experience.
So we're talking about the front desk. I know I mentioned insurance. What are some of the entry-level things right now, Pete, that you've seen is like, this is a no-brainer at this point? Like, I also go to patient reactivation. I think that's fairly simple to set up, to just have a drip campaign via an AI that checks in. And I mean, you don't even have to really get into a CRM or these things if you have an AI that can do that for you. Maybe, again, maybe I don't know. Do I need that, Pete? Like, what are those low-hanging fruits? What are the low-hanging
CRM, for those of you who don't know what a CRM is, it's a customer relationship management tool, right? And so the HubSpots and the Salesforce, these are all CRM agents, right? And what they do is they track people's along the sales process and inbound email and all these things, and it just tracks it for you so that you don't have to remember. We, Ian, in dentistry, our practice management softwares are typically our CRM. Okay, so we don't have a CRM that sits. I've tried, like we actually had tried, God, I can't remember the name of it now, and it had to bridge with the software and shit. It didn't work. It wasn't good. So what have you seen? For example, I know you use HubSpot for Bulletproof now, right? And their path is super, their roadmap is super AI friendly, right? So some of this data, because we have a walled garden of we are HIPAA compliant and we are walled off because we have patient data. It's really hard to take that and just give an AI access to it, right? Because they're not bona fide HIPAA compliant. They're not SOC 2. They're not SOC 2 yet, which basically means there's a security issue when we are dealing with healthcare information or private healthcare data. Okay.
Would I get dinged though if it's just I set up a list with an email of my patients who I want to reactivate, not all of the info? This is pulled by someone in my office, and they can then use that to automate something that goes out. Like, is that HIPAA compliant?
Yes, because you can you can take the information, you can redact a lot of that from your patient management software, and then you can run campaigns. Okay. So there are things you can do, but it takes a lot more manual entry right now, and a lot more. The agent you have to have a lot more intervention to the agents because of that private data. Okay. So I don't believe I answered your question. I just wanted to make the distinction between like what a CRM is and basically our PMS, which is the patient management system.
And how are they? I mean, both of you have amazing practices that are doing well, that are looking at some of these things. Craig, have you, as the Spodak group, looked at AI? Has it been part of the conversation in some of the?
Yeah, we have. Of course, we're upon Pete's recommendation, we started integrating with VoiceStack. So we've been using for probably 3 to 4 years AI call recording. But then, to Pete's point, we had to do something with the data. It wasn't recursive. But yeah, we're embracing all of it. We are using remote workers as well now. All of our, everything that we do. I mean, Erica did
through Reach, right?
Through Reach, yeah.
Yeah.
Erica went to the Tony Robbins AI Summit a year and a half ago. Came back on fire. I was talking to her like, hey, use ChatGPT 2 years ago, and people were reluctant. But yeah, everyone's using it. Everyone's using it. It's a question of to what extent. It's interesting, and I hate to keep making AI about Tesla, but Tesla's really an autonomous company, and they use AI as a backbone of their core business through line. And there's no better way to appreciate AI than when you're driven, because you're driven every day. And I've owned my Tesla for 60 days. And watching what's happened in 60 days, when Pete said the worst AI will ever be is today. So my question was 2 months ago when I got my Tesla, I said to myself, it's being driven like whatever, 1 million miles a week, a month, whatever day. And it's getting better, it's learning. And when I would get on the highway, it would make a mistake and get in the wrong lane. And then I would disconnect. It would say, what happened? So I would just leave a voice note. That's not the entrance. The entrance is this way. The next day it happened again. What happened? And then the third day it didn't happen again. And now, my wife had a new update. We talked about it earlier in the podcast, and now it doesn't watch you as much. So in 60 days, I feel like I have an entirely new understanding of how much better it is. And that's 60 days. So what's going to happen in 6 months, in 6 years?
So Ian, one of the biggest impediments to my career and growth in my practices was my patient management software. Okay. A lot of these practice management softwares are built on the heels of selling supplies to people, right? It's an afterthought, right? And so when it got to be just, I couldn't handle it anymore, and it was crashing all the time, I went out shopping for new software. Okay. And I spent an exhaustive amount. Actually, Craig, Ellie helped me with this. I remember Ellie, shout out Ellie Naderi.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And her company did an exhaustive search as well for this. And so basically, Ian, where I'm going to go with this is I looked at the roadmap. So when I asked the people who were holding my current software at the time, so how many developers do you have working on X, Y, and Z? The answer was 3.
Yeah.
4. It was basically just remaining status quo, because that's really not where the money is to be made. It's made on selling other stuff, cabinets and whatever. And I said, that's probably not the answer I was looking for. And they said, actually, the version you're on is going to be non-supported. I was like, awesome. So I went out searching for show me, because I'm big on saying where the puck is going. I was like, show me the roadmap. Show me every software person, show me your roadmap for what this looks like. So your development roadmap for what this looks like over the next 3 years, given that we now have ChatGPT at the time. And everyone was pretty much around that thing. It's like, yeah, that's probably not going to be the case. And then I found this one company that was like, we have 200 developers and we are aggressively going after this AI thesis. And we want the whole life cycle of the practice, insurance, calls. We went the whole vertical. Okay. And of course, that's where I chose CareStack. And people, and I know it's not the most popular, right? We hear there's some dominant softwares. And so sometimes when I tell a dentist I chose CareStack, it's like, why? And I was like, well, it's the only enterprise solution, right? Multiple location that's cloud-based, redundantly back up with a robust AI pathway. So it was the only obvious choice in dentistry for me.
Yeah, and I can back that. I spoke to Dan Hall over there too, and he told me about what they're planning. And I mean, shout out to Dan. You're so right. You're so right. They are.
Yeah, and so bolting on integration with VoiceStack, which is it's agnostic to the software, but it does work well with CareStack. Obviously, it's the same company, but Craig uses it with Open Dental.
Yeah.
And And so now to have it read and write from patient charts based on the information and then identify, it's like Craig and I had a dinner with people who, Craig, I don't want to give too much information. That was the Florida dinner where we were with two older gentlemen and they were describing their process at this, one of the largest DSOs in the world.
Yeah, we did a podcast on it. It's called Bringing a Knife to a Gunfight, one of our podcasts 2 years ago.
And my takeaway was this one line where they said, basically, we have a team of 20 people designed to follow up from the failed phone calls of our enrollment across the board. So basically, it would identify, hey, that receptionist did a terrible job enrolling. There was a lost opportunity. And now the assassin, I call him the assassin, they didn't call him that, comes in and scoops it up and is like, hey, and whatever their magic verbiage was to resave that appointment for that location. And honestly, after I heard that, I was like, that was the knife to a gunfight. I was like, holy shit, we can't have the bandwidth. We can't afford this as dental practitioners with 1, 2, 3 offices to have the quote unquote assassin. It's not fair. This is not fair. But guess what? Guess what was the great equalibrizer?
Equalizer.
Guess what the great equilibrium was? Guess what now the great equalizer is? Technology, AI, at scale, not free for everyone, but like available for everyone, right? And so so if you embrace this, now you get a gun. You don't have to carry this dumbass knife anymore.
Yeah.
Now you get to have a gun too. We're probably going to be banned on Apple Podcast for saying we're gun.
Craig and I actually met earlier today with the independents. The name again, Craig?
National Alliance or Alliance of Independent Dentists.
Yeah, I love them. I've been seeing their stuff on Insta.
And one thing that
I joined today, by the way.
Did you really?
Yeah, Alliance of Independent Dentists.
What is the thesis there? What's the thesis?
It was really cool. So essentially, I chatted with a nice doctor named Maria, and she said that they started originally as a group that was trying to protect the Massachusetts dentists from what were seemed to be predatory tactics of Delta Dental. So, and they were able to affect some level of legislation change, and then that morphed into the Alliance of Independent Dentists. And essentially, what they are is they're advocating for independent dentists and quality care for patients. So they're protecting patients from insurance practices that restrict patient choice. They're educating dental professionals and the public why it's important to go to a dentist-owned practice. So they're fairly staunchly opposed to DSOs. They don't want corporate ownership, and they think it's a pump and dump. You sell your practice, they juice it, and then PE makes it all bad. And it really points to the statistics that post-sale, people are less happy. The dentists are less happy. The perceived quality of control goes down. So
patients are less happy and teams are less happy.
Yeah.
It's a triple lose. I say the triple win, it's the triple lose.
Yep.
But one thing that she kept saying was this term, Craig, of David and Goliath, and it feels like David and Goliath and David and Goliath, because all of these massive companies are in cahoots with legislation and lobbying, all of this. And Pete, you said something now. This can be the equalizer. Imagine you have the ability to, as you said, do the reactivation, to do this type of work, because you have an AI that can run at the scale, at least help you to get closer to the DSO type of tactics.
And more so than the equalizer, guess what we have that does that big groups, right? Big cruise ship, let's call it metaphorically speaking. If we are a speedboat and they are a cruise ship based on their volume, how hard is it to turn and pivot in a cruise ship? It's very hard to make a course correction and turn around. With us, one of our biggest superpowers is us being nimble. Let's try this. Let's iterate. Let's innovate. Let's do this. Let's do that. Oh, that didn't work. Let's pivot the boat just a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. Right? That becomes the superpower. Innovate, market, change things, try this, try that.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why my construction company was so abhorrent. The conversation was so difficult. They're a massive multi-billion-dollar company. So your point exactly, coming full circle, if they were just a smaller company, ideas flow from the field to the top very quickly when you only have one layer or two layers. corporate, when you start working with larger corporations, and God bless you for dealing with their sponsors, it is incredibly difficult because you advance
why
it all
they
the way
incorporated that AI, Craig? What would you think their reason would be? The anti-AI.
It was legal
Yeah,
protection.
it's 100%. It's to protect them, not you.
Yeah.
Right. Duh. Right. Because they don't want to be caught on, you said this.
Right. Yeah. The imprecision,
Interesting.
The imprecision of construction benefits the construction manager.
The imprecision
benefits the construction.
There you go.
Company.
Yeah. Now you have your Claude hooked up to your Gmail.
Well, you have to granola. You have to do all that for me.
Okay,
I don't even have a solder gun, by the way. So
you don't. Do you know how to solder, Craig?
I do. But like,
do you know what the word flux is by chance?
Yeah, solder flux, of course. It binds to the metal. You have to put a little dab on. I love the smell of it. But
God. Thank God you got your man card back.
Oh yeah, don't worry about my man card these days. Maybe 5 years ago.
That's true.
No,
That's true.
I do stuff that would make
you are
look
very
like
manly these days.
Yeah, if I showed you pictures.
That's why your wife
night.
came to visit you at the farm.
Right. She did. Yeah, she knows it. Yeah.
So, guys, to close us out today, I do want to put out a message to all dentists that have started testing these things and trying these things. The My Story at bulletproofdentalpractice.com email is there. Please share with us how you've started using AI in your practice and what you think about what's been shared today. Because right now, I know Peter's doing, I know Craig is doing, we're talking about it on our mastermind, we have the event, but I want to actually see what the dentists out there are doing in their own ways, and maybe we can learn something. So please use that as a resource.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what I want people to input, but we get feedback from the mastermind, right? And so, I mean, yes, I've taught them a lot of what to do. I mean, actually, we've had some people off and running and creating their own softwares and all these things now. But Ian, I would say all you need is a gateway drug. You just need one thing to turn the lights on for you. And then you'll be on fire. So what you feel now is scared and I don't want to do this. What you need is one, oh shit, that was cool. And now all you can see, like Craig, right? All you can see is how could this process be easier, faster, better, right? Easier, faster, cheaper. And so I would encourage people to look at their day. And I always say this when people are overwhelmed is look at their day, audit every 10 minutes, put a notebook by just one day. What did you do that past 10 minutes? Okay. And a lot of people is maybe patient care, but what are you doing on the quote unquote admin day or your off day or whatever? And so audit that and then see where could I get an AI to help me with X, Y, and Z, whether it's maybe research, maybe it's finding the best person in your town for a provider, whatever it is, but use use something agentic, a Claude, a Manus, a Perplexity. GPT has it. It's just a little it's a little harder. I'm not a big fan. I'm actually a fan of the Codex model, the 5.5 model, but not their agent. But use an agent to say, hey, I don't know what to do here. I'm going to describe the outcome of what I want. You just go to work for me, please, and just let me know. And then go back to your life, right? Or load your P&Ls up. It's a great one. Load your P&Ls up over the past year and say, hey, what trends are you seeing? Act as my CFO, act as someone who can forecast where things are headed, what trend lines are out of date. Just talk to me, right? And another phase, you could do something simple like this. You can actually load, if you use Claude, for example, I know I'm going very tactical and I'm sorry, but people are going to get value from this. You could load your Claude into a custom project. You could load all your P&Ls into a custom project. And then you could go for a walk. And guess what you can do? You can talk about your P&L with just that subset of your data. And you can just talk. Hey, what were my supplies on March? Like, where do you see the average? And just talk to it like a friend, a free CFO, probably the number one CFO in the world right now. You can talk to it for free. So sorry, and I went off on that tangent, but because what I see people having to have is an inflection point where they say, oh shit, I get it. And that's all you need.
I've been doing it with my finances just across all my accounts and putting it in. And it's amazing just the knowledge. When you have knowledge and you have data, you can actually improve it. You can actually have an opinion, because some months you would think, oh, I spent money and I don't, and is it too
That's
much
emotion.
work? Because
That's
you're
emotion.
guessing. And then
That's emotion.
actually, exactly. And I load it, and then I look at the actual numbers and go, that's actually not as bad as I thought. Or, whoa, you need to,
worse.
to turn back. Yes, or worse.
But like, that's what I told people even before AI is like, don't make decisions from emotion, right? Make data-driven decisions. And AI helps you with that. Craig's going to have to make a tremendous amount over the next 18 months, 12 months over this construction project, right? Any kind of expansion is daunting. And it's the reason a lot of people just throw in the towel and say, oh, that seems like too much work, right? So find the easy button. Let an agent help you along the way. So anyway, so there goes our spirit of trying to have 30-minute pods or less. We are now at 52 minutes.
Yeah, but you talked a lot. So
I did talk a lot, and I'm sorry, but I get jazzed up by this, because again, I just see, I want everyone listening to this, that this touches, I want everyone to thrive in this. And I feel like, it will help a lot of people if they just take the leap of faith that I'm talking about. And if you're not there, if you just take the leap of faith, spend an hour a week, and you will be in the top 1%. I promise you, you'll be in the top 1% of the people in the world who know about this stuff. And shit, coming to the dams, even if you're at level zero, if you come to the workshop on Sunday, I promise you, you will leave with a page full of action items to do, and your mind, everything will become possible. I have to tell myself this every day. Just because I can doesn't mean that I should, because I could send myself off into 100 different places. Oh, I want to build this software. Oh, I want to run this report. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set this practice. I'm going to, all these things. And I have to tell myself, wait, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I want people to have that feeling of abundance, of being bulletproof, of like, I have all these tools in my quiver, and now I am bulletproof.
Perfect note. Is that it for today, gentlemen?
No, it's okay. It was great. Now you know why I'm so emphatic about you getting a robotic car. Like, you do everything with AI.
It's coming. It's coming.
I know. You could have had it by now if you just
I know.
I
could have been a first adopter. I just couldn't get over the wedge shape of that car. It was just too much.
I'll tell you what's interesting. You know how you said your agents are, you could play the defensive game, and the agents that will be inbound will be dealing with your live humans. When you have a car, you identify with it. It's a part of your style. It's who you are. You've been a guy who highly customizes his cars.
Because you control it, right?
Yeah. So, but when's the last time you got on like a JetBlue flight or a Delta flight and said, I just hate the color, the white body. I really wish I had a different pinstripe. I don't resent my train for the way it looks, as long as it runs efficiently and it's beautiful. So you will actually I know you're probably going to send your Cybertruck to be customized and all that.
It's already had the appointment.
It doesn't matter. It's not part of me. People flick me off like for being in the wrong lane. When it lets a pedestrian cross, they wave to me. So there's a person pushing a baby carriage, across the street, and it lets it through. They wave to me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're acknowledging my robot. I don't care.
It's like a dystopian dissociation.
It is a dystopian dissociation. You will not drive. You will not be emotionally connected to the road or the driving. I don't feel I'm
going to do this, but
you will.
I can't look at. Again, one of us will be. History will prove one of us right. I may come back on.
It'll be you.
Say you are right, Craig.
No, it'll take you 1,000 miles or maybe 3,000 miles to because at first, the first maybe 2 months you drive it, it's like, is it really going to navigate this? Is this okay? But then it's like, what was I thinking?
And the same thing will happen in our practices, in our lives, with the same kind of congruent or parallel technology that happens, right? The self-driving that you're talking about.
Hostile calls, like someone calls, like pissing off your agent. They're like, I'm so sorry you feel that, Mrs. Jones. Let it go.
Yeah.
Because now when they do that to your receptionist or your person that works in admin, they're upset for the next call.
Yeah.
Miss Jones chewed them out. The next call they're not as good for.
It's true. And this is why we have such turnovers, because they're abused sometimes. They are.
Their front lines are abused, unfortunately. I worked admin for a day, by the way. I did it. Oh, it was so funny. It was like 2-3 years ago. Do you remember I did that?
I did. I remember hearing about it. Yeah.
It was really hard.
Yeah.
That just made me think of a whole nother podcast segment of the emotional load that AI will take off of your staff and how much happier they can potentially be if they don't have to deal with people being this rude with him every day. That's an idea. It's an idea.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, gentlemen.
Okay. I love it. Everyone, don't forget Bulletproof Summit, day 1, 2, and now 3. Come to the workshop. It's a different ticket. Ian has been working hard on this landing page. It has everything that you could want on there. What you're going to learn, who's speaking, all the things. And nice work on this landing page. I will tell you that it is hard to circle the wagons with stuff like this and to build something that's so robust and I think it's the biggest no-brainer in dentistry to come and bring your team, really. And I can say that, I wouldn't have said that year 1 or 2, but I can say that now as having tremendous amount of data points that we have seen the fire that it lights onto teams, and they are forever changed. They can't unhear and they can't unsee things, and they're forever changed. And we have hundreds of data points. We get these emails, like a lot of those callers we had, like Dr. Tommy, right? He's consumed all this. And what happened? He had this meteoric rise after he deployed this. Shockaroo, right? So anyway, just come. Be bulletproof. It's that simple.
I agree. Don't be the one that calls us at the 11th hour and send your Invisalign rep to call my Invisalign rep to get you in, because there's only a certain number of spots. True story, by the way.
Yeah. The Phoenician is about the same size as what we had last time. So, it's not, and like, how do you get a 5-star hotel for $170, by the way? And granted, it is August in Scottsdale. Maybe that's how, but still, it's still a 5-star resort.
When you get there, you'll know why it's a little less expensive. Actually, I like that the mornings are beautiful.
The mornings are awesome.
Yeah. And you're inside all day. So if it's the best weather ever, you'll be freezing your butt off inside the conference.
That's right.
Cool, guys.
All right, everybody. Over and out. Thanks, everyone, for watching today's episode of the Bulletproof Dental Practice Pod. We hope this conversation brought you a tremendous amount of perspective and reminded you of why you love dentistry. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, drop us a comment, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future episode. Additionally, it would really help us if you could send this message to someone that you think would enjoy it. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep leading boldly, and most importantly, stay bulletproof.